Strawbeard is taking the format by storm at the moment. He's been topping all the online regionals, so I wanted to brew something interesting to fight against it. So Strawbeard is a Whitebeard deck that uses Straw Hat cards, right? What if I played a Luffy deck that used Whitebeard cards? What would that make us? White Hat? Wow, so funny! Very clever! Wait, huh? Why is this deck working? What? Is this deck actually good? Holy crap. Is White Hat the Strawbeard killer?
Card Kaizoku.
You heard that right. I brewed this list just to mess around, but it actually performs surprisingly well. It plays similarly to the big red Luffy deck from OP01, but I play a more larger variety of big boys, so my curve is more consistent. Let's start off with the leader. The first leader ever introduced, you all know him, it's Monkey D. Luffy. He's a monocolored red leader with 5k power and 5 starting life. He lets you attach a Rested Dawn on any character or leader once per turn. One of the reasons he's good into Whitebeard is that you can play on curve and still muster up one Dawn to attack into their 6k power leader with. Whitebeard's 6k base power is what makes him so durable against every other leader. Other leaders have to decide between investing a Dawn and slowing their curve, versus allowing Whitebeard to get a free turn without having to counter anything. Luffy forces Whitebeard to use up his counters right from the get-go. You've usually burned 2 to 3 counters from their hand by the time most other leaders start to even try to attack into them. This puts the Whitebeard player more behind than you would think, since on later turns, they'll always have to be conscious of leaving Dawn open for guard points and radical beams, since they had to use a good amount of their 1k or 2k counters early, making them have less Dawn for their attacks, and making them easier to defend against. Let's look at the rest of the deck. I'm not gonna go over the stat lines and full card effects like in my previous videos. It was probably boring to hear and y'all got eyes anyway. I hope, or else I just offended all my blind viewers. Alright, first up we have 4 Otama. Best 2k counter in the game. I say this in every deck that I have her in. In a deck that plays vanillas, your biggest advantage is that your characters have good stats, making trading something your deck excels at. Otama's minus 2k ability elevates this to a whole new level. Anything you tag with Otama is sure to die, but she's also a 2k counter if you need defense. Next we have 4 Searcher Nami. We won't have a Whitebeard Searcher until OP03, so I'm using Nami to search for all the 2k counters in the deck. The Dawn you used to play her can be recycled with Luffy's leader ability anyway, so I'm not losing out on anything. Also, having a free body out is useful when playing against Zoro to trade back with their cheap characters with. Next is 2 Usopp. He's a filler 2k counter that's searchable by Nami. His effect could come in handy against Whitebeard and Magellan, since those decks run a lot of event counters. Next is 4 Sanji. Another filler 2k counter. No one really plays Control anymore since Kid is less popular now, but he can be used as a source of card draw and a giant swing from out of nowhere in those kinds of matchups. And he's searchable by Nami. Next is 4 Brook. He's a 2k counter that pays for himself. And he's searchable by Nami, no brainer to include. Next is 4 promo 2k counter Luffy. Did you think I was gonna say, mostly just a 2k counter again? Well, you're wrong. I actually play this Luffy out half of the time. This deck doesn't have much to play on your second turn, so this card really fills that spot out nicely. He's an early 3 Dawn investment to swing for 7k plus later, allowing him to trade just as well as the other big boys in the deck. Next is 4 Nico Robin. This card is mainly for the Zoro and Law matchup. She slows down aggro board development and gets rid of small blockers that could stop an attack from your beefy characters. Next is 4 starter deck Monkey D. Luffy. Playing a Rush Luffy on curve means you can attack Whitebeard twice. Once with Rush Luffy and then once again with your leader with the Rested Dawn. This really carves away at their counters. Rush Luffy is also just a great card against every other deck. You can use him as pseudo removal since he has Rush, or as a finisher since he can bypass blockers. Alright, here are the big hitters of the deck. I know there are red hair pirate cards with the same stat lines, but then I wouldn't be able to clickbait the theme of the video, you idiot. We'll start off with 4 King Do. He's a minimum 2k counter to defend against as Whitebeard, and an awkward counter for every other leader. Since we want to go first with this deck, he fits our curve nicely. He's also naturally out of range of Jet Pistol and Impact Wave triggers. Next is 4 Thatch. He's here in case we go second. We really don't want to miss any board development, so having another play before 7 Dawn is crucial. Next is 4 Little Oars Jr. Another card that fits into our curve nicely if going first. We don't have access to Ace with Rush, so this is the next best thing. He's damn near impossible to kill and defend against. Next is the star of the deck, 4 Whitebeard. Luffy and OP01 ran Shanks, but Whitebeard does so much more for our deck. To start with, a 10k body is amazing. Almost every card in our deck has counter power. This on top of the 10k stat line makes him incredibly easy to defend to the point where most people don't even bother trying to deal with them, allowing for free 10k attacks every turn. His on-play ability gives our leader plus 2k power until our next turn. This is an insanely broken defensive tool. It's basically a free 2k counter per character that attacks you, and this is on top of the 18 other 2k counters we have in our deck. A Whitebeard on curve means you can swing for 8k with Luffy right away, which is 2k over Whitebeard, making it awkward for him to counter. At 10 Dawn, playing a Whitebeard can let you swing with Luffy for 9k, which is an almost guaranteed life on every other leader. One cool synergy he has with Luffy is that if you play back-to-back Whitebeards, you can actually attach your remaining Dawn and a rested Dawn to the first Whitebeard using your leader ability, allowing your first Whitebeard to actually use his when attacking ability. This can help with clearing blockers in the late game to secure damage or set up lethal. Finally, for events, we're running 4 Jet Pistol. Lots of other decks have started to play around it in OP02, but it still hits a lot of important targets. It's especially useful against Whitebeards since they play a lot of 4-cost 6k power vanillas. Keeping characters alive is more important than protecting your own life for tempo, so a Jet Pistol instantly keeps your board stronger. You may be wondering, no 4-cost vanillas? Strawbeard runs them, so they must be good, right? Since 9-cost Whitebeard has an odd number cost, going first is stronger as you can play him 1 turn earlier. Because of this, having 4-cost cards is kind of awkward. I already run Thatch to fill in gaps where I go second, so I don't want to run any at the 4 down level. 4-drop vanillas are also susceptible to blue 6-cost Luffy, Arabesque Brickfist, Punk Gibson, Impact Wave triggers, Jet Pistol, and Smoker leader ability plus Kobe. They aren't sticky enough for this deck, so I don't include any. What about Gum Gum Redhawk? Luffy ran it in OP01. I did try testing out 2 Redhawks in the beginning. You may even see it in some of my match videos if it was an early one. In the end, I found it really hard to leave 2 Dawn up when I just want to drop big bodies on curve and swing for 6k with my leader every turn. Even in the late game, I can't play Whitebeard while having Dawn open for Redhawk at the same time. In the end, I dropped it and put in 2 more 2k counters instead, and I found more success with that. For starting hands, you'll want to look for these cards: Nami, Luffy, Robin, Kingdu, or Thatch. Your early game is your weakest, so having stuff to use your Dawn with is useful so you don't get left behind. Having a Kingdu or Thatch guaranteed in hand is also good reassurance that you can at least have a threat down after the early game is over. For the aggro matchup, I feel this is the deck's weakness. You'll want to establish Robin as soon as possible and keep her alive. It feels bad to swing your highly Dawn efficient stat lines into small 3k bodies, but you'll have to do that to stay alive, as every character you let live becomes another possible attack in the future that you have to counter against. Thankfully, Whitebeard does provide some breathing room with his plus 2k on play ability. For the mid-range matchup, I honestly feel like they have a hard time dealing with the stat lines of your threats, and the plethora of 2k counters in the deck. Just focus on keeping your characters alive while attacking 2k over theirs and you'll eventually outpace them, since you have a free 6k attack from your leader every turn that they have to defend against. For the control matchup, I feel like they don't have any answers for your threats. Blue can't easily bounce most of the threats, and 4k event counters aren't as useful when we can swing for 9k pretty easily. Kaido can board wipe, sure, but we've been attacking for 6k with our leader, along with our vanillas every turn up until now, whittling away at their life, so it's usually too late by the time that they can clear our board. So this has been my White Hat Luffy deck. I made it as a meme, but it actually does pretty well. I think this could really be a legit good deck if someone else better at deck building could take a pass over my list. I need to achieve a good balance of handling aggro while still beating Whitebeard. I perhaps maybe focus too much on the beating Whitebeard part, but this is where I'm at with the deck for now. I'm sure it'll continue to evolve. Let me know what you guys think and if you have any suggestions in the comments below. Okay, bye.
Car D Kaizoku.